Hello, this is Joe Peters with MomFit with Joe Peters. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network and the Her Network on Single TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download both Single TV apps in the respective app stores in iOS and Android devices. While you are downloading, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is completely free. Single TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV Stick, Roku, and Roku Stick in all the smart TVs since 2016. And if you are not following me in Instagram, make sure that you go to Instagram and go to Joe Unicorn Coach, like you see in the video, and follow me. I handle all my social media, and if you have any questions, any problems, any challenges around motherhood, make sure to DM me. And if I don't know the answer, I will find somebody like Viviana that will help us to win the marathon of motherhood without burnout. Today, I'm super excited because I am having a special guest with me, Viviana. We are going to be talking all about parenting and Viviana Giraldo is a remarkable mother of two beautiful boys mom, embarked on a profound journey of self-discovery and enlightenment. When she anticipated the arrival of her first child, Viviana felt a deep calling to explore the depths of child development, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a desire to provide her children with the best foundation for a meaningful life. As her knowledge grew, Viviana blossomed into the respected parenting expert, specializing in an effective and transformative method known as the effective parenting. Her commitment to excellence and led her to earn a prestigious child development and mental health certification from the renowned Stanford University. Motivated by her faith and guided by her Christian values, Viviana found El Gran Regalo, the Great Gift, is a visionary company dedicated to accompany fathers and mothers of their on their transformative journey towards health, healing their hearts, enabling them to raise resilient children and cultivate blissful families. Through, through personalized and couple sessions and engaging workshops, Viviana empowers parents by equipping them with essential tools and knowledge they need to thrive. Viviana, thank you so much for being here. I would love to welcome you to the show. I would love for you to tell a little bit about your story, about how you entered this beautiful world of parenting. And then I also ask all my guests about a phrase that they want to share. And I want you to explain why you choose the phrase that you choose. The phrase that Viviana chose was the strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. So Viviana, welcome. I'm happy to have you here. And let's just start a little bit with who Viviana is and what take you into this beautiful world of helping others in their journey of parenting.
Hi, Joe. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Well, um, I started studying children's psychology and children development because when I found myself pregnant and expecting my first child, I kind of looked around and I said, even though I know people that professionally are very, very successful, or mothers that professionally are very, very successful, I don't know. I don't know if I know a single adult that I can say, he got it together. He knows how to deal with their emotions. He's like a healthy person, not from their physical aspect, but in their soul. So that was like, okay, this is a big responsibility. I want to do it right. And in Latin America, there is this limiting belief in my opinion that says, parenthood is something that is not that you cannot learn in books, is something that comes natural. You don't need to read about it. And I feel like, no, this is the most important thing that a person can do in their life, is to raise a child and give society a healthy and happy adult. And because they're the future, you know. And so there's so much information around it, and I began to really connect with the psychology aspect of that was always there, that I always have that passion for, and that at the moment I was working as an experiential marketing director with big brands, and I realized that I was so good at what I did because I always put the psychology part of it, because I tend to that need of what people wanted, how they wanted to connect with the brand. And I began feeling, I have this gift, and I want to put it into something meaningful, not making a brand that is already, reach, have more views or have more sales. So that's why how I began is because I did it for my children, and then my friends started calling, like, "Hey, this is going on with my child. Hey, I'm pregnant. What should I do?" Or like they will say, like, "Hey, your friend told me that you could help me with this." And as I began studying more and more and getting certifications and more, then I decided to create the El Gran Regalo, and I call it the big gift, because it's truly the gift of healing yourself so you can become that parent that your children need.
Thank you so much. That is so interesting. I was gonna start talking about that because um, it's interesting that your approach is we start by healing ourselves so we can be the parent that our children deserve. So why we don't talk a little bit about that, like how we can know where we need to heal, what are some of the things that we can do in preparation. Our audience around the world are moms all the way from being pregnant all the way into moms with children in the first couple of years of life. So how they can start, if they are not Viviana, if they don't have all your knowledge and all your experience, how they can start connecting the dots and finding where may be places where they need to heal so they can show up as better parents for their children.
So I will look for the signs just to know where in my journey I am, because I don't know if it happens to you guys, but when you start reading about motherhood and when you start receiving these tools, these techniques, to positive options and things like that, that they work wonderful. Sometimes you're like, but what happened if I don't have this blissful personality, if I'm not this sweet mom that is calm and content, how can I apply this when in the face of children running around, where dinner, that is when you have little ones, dinner can be something great or can be something, like an explosion of emotions. And so I will start. And then one things that we're going to find out is that sometimes it's for us very hard to handle emotion. We don't know because nobody taught us how to handle emotion. And at the end, if we go back and back and back, so if you're asking me for the very first step, in my opinion, is always, let's go back to your inner child and mother your inner child. And so that is a term that nowadays is very popular. It's called mothering yourself. And so because when we don't have an inner child that is healed, then we have a hard time playing with our kids. We don't connect in the play. We can be there, pretending, yes, yes, honey, but in our mind we're somewhere else. And they know, when they're little, they know that you're not there, even though physically you're there. When we don't have children, are like, "Ugh, I don't like." Those are little times that you say, hey, there's something right. When you have to have we're thinking about the child. We're thinking about how you just make me feel now that I'm tired, that, and so first observe, at least observing that, then you can get the tools to actually navigate those situations.
Okay, I think that that is phenomenal, and I love how you are connecting it with the inner child. And it is part of one of the things that I would love to talk with you is because this is big into what you said before about our baggage and our heritage, talking about Hispanic Heritage Month this month. And that is how we were raised thinking that a good child um, was one that was obedient. And then, even now with my 2 year old, sometimes I feel that trigger when my 2 year old don't do what I say. Then I get frustrated and I get that part. And one of the things that I love about your perspective and your approach is uh, you help parents to shift from seeking an obedient child to contemplating how to empower a child to make sound decisions. Why we don't explore a little bit about that, about what is the difference and why actually we don't want to have obedient children.
Yes. Let me I just move and let me know that this if this is better. So the first thing that I do with my parents, it's like let's explore the word obedience and what an obedient child will become. What is an obedient adult? And so in that way I'm always able to shift their mind to that's not what I want. And so when they come to me and they say, I want my child to do what I say. Like, how can I do that? And I go like, I'm gonna give you the secret. You don't want your child to do what you say. You want your child to have the ability to choose wisely, right? And so every time that we're in that position where you're like, you need to do this, like breathe for a moment and say, how can I help my child to make the right decision? Okay, which this is going to change completely then how you're going to try to get your children to collaborate, because that's what you want, collaboration. When we have obedient children, and there is a lot of data on this, there are a lot of studies that have been done on this. We have children that will basically they're a target for sexual abuse, because when you have a child that you tell them, oh, just because it's grandma, it's because grandpa, you need to do what they say, then if they say, take your clothes off or do something inappropriate, they're gonna do it, and they're not gonna tell you because that's what you told them to do. Two, when they have this blind obedience, then they're not gonna nurture this capacity of evaluating, the situation and knowing whether or not they're at risk, whether or not this is good for them. And so it's also have shown that children that have this blind obedience at home are more prone to take drugs when they go to college. And why is that? Because when you go to college, somebody tells you, in order to belong to this group, this is what we do. We do drugs, we smoke pot, we do, we sleep around. And so they will do it because that's what they've been told. It's not about what you want, it's not about what you feel. And so they have been thought to disconnected from their inner voice, totally disconnected for the inner voice and who they are. So there's nothing beautiful about an obedient child. Obviously I have moms then, and there is TikTok jokes and feeds going on Facebook. I'm pretty sure that you have seen them about, how children in our generation, we know how to say thank you and please. And when our mothers look at us, we stay, put, and we were respectful and everything. And I always reply to them, but what was the price of that? What was the price that we pay for that? Because if you were a child and let's say you were at church for 2 hours, being put, which is not an environment for a child. A child needs movement. And so, and your mother went like this, and you immediately betray your impulse and you went like this, it's because there was violence before. And you remember there was spanking, or there was psychological violence, like telling like you this and that, blaming. And so, and then the thought of that interaction that I did not like was what make you go like. And so that's not really what we want. That's not really what we want. What we want is to teach our children how they can always be in a position where they can choose what is right. And it takes modeling and it takes experience, and that's what infancy and adolescence is about, is this preparation for experiences, and then you learn what's good, what's not, how that feel, how I navigate these. And so that is my response and my view to obedience.
And I love how you make that distinction and help the moms to understand that since the kids are young. What are some of the tactics to help them to make sound decisions? And then how we can also handle the part of getting triggered when we want them to do something and now they are able to say, no, I'm not going to do that. So what are some of the tools that the parents can start playing with and understanding on that process of helping their children?
The first step is on where is your child in the biological, psychological, and social cycle. That's going to help you a lot, because then you can make a strategy and pick the right tool, right? For example, let's take your son is 2, and here in the States they call it the terrible twos, right? Which is a horrible name for it, because what is happening to your child is like, for the first time now he understand he's not you, he is his own person. And what makes you your own person is the power to say no. That's what makes me my own person, right? And so that's what the favorite thing for them to say is no. When I understand that he's going through that cycle where he's discovering he's himself, then I can look for tools where I can let him choose, not whatever he wants, but for example, let's say we have Tommy. Tommy, it's time to go to the bathroom. No, I don't want to shower. I don't want to shower. And so that you can, the two options work wonderful things, 2, 3, 4 year olds. And so then you say, like, Tommy, do you want to go to the shower with the blue whale or with the dog? And so then they get to do what they want, which is to pick, to have the right and the option to make their own decisions. So going to the shower is not negotiable, because they need to do it, but you offer them options. And that tactic is like magic in a household when they have little ones. And so when you understand, it's not because they want to, it's not about you. It's not about them wanting to drive you crazy. It's about them exploring, the limit where, and another thing is, like, we don't know how to talk. We don't know how to talk as adults. We talk a lot with the word no. Don't jump. Like, don't do that. And the brain does not understand the word no. And so, for example, I tell my parents, and this is a cliche of the pink elephant, but I tell them, let's do not think about scissors. And then I tell them, oh, you disobedient parents, you either thought for the scissor for a second and then, wipe it out, right? You either saw the word scissor, saw the picture, look for one in the room. It depends how your mind works, but you did it because the mind doesn't understand the word no. So if instead, especially with children that are strong-willed, we tell them what we do want them to do, we train ourselves to talk in this way of what we do want them to do, we will see also a change in our whole family atmosphere, because it's not like don't jump, it's like be careful where you're coming down, be mindful that of your body, make sure that you grab yourself before coming down. It's very different. It's very different, because one is giving an instruction because of the blind obedience, and the other one is giving them information for them to make a decision.
And it's a skill that will serve them for the rest of their life, right? So I love how you also go into the part of the language and how, because what I remember when my baby was 8 months old, and I started doing research and I started realizing that babies and kids hear the word no like 400 times per day. It's ridiculous how much we just say no, 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 don't do, no, don't. So I love how you make it playful with the parents to also help help them to understand that it's hard for the brain to not think about the word no. Now, one of the things that is critical, and I see it all the time with parents, and that is how we balance our expectations with the reality of our child developmental stage. Because I actually, this week I was in a community and a mom was really worried because her 3 year old or something like that was having a difficult time sharing, and at school that was one thing that I point out, and then we were all telling her like
It's normal.
that is that is completely normal. Like if your 3 year old will be sharing everything, that will be something to be curious about. But what I want to talk with you is about that society expectation of what you as a good parent should be doing, what your kids should be doing, and how we can balance that with actually be very realistic into what are the things that are normal and that are good that our children go through, like when everything is mine, when they're sharing. So we don't actually waste energy chasing ghosts that are not there
Right.
in reality.
Well, I think the key to that, it's focus on your child and let's forget about the society expectations, because that is in reality the only way that you're going to give back to society, that adult, that healthy adult that you want to give back. And so I tell my parents, I know that it's very tempting when you are at the supermarket and your 2 3 year old is having a full on, I want this chocolate, I want this chocolate. And people are looking at you with judging eyes, which is another thing. Let's be more empathetic with children. Nobody wants that, but that kids, it's going through emotions. And as a society, we should support. But we don't have that society. So we have those judging eyes. And it's very tempting to say, okay, 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 here, take the chocolate, because of the judgment of people that are not in my life, that I'm probably never going to see again. And so I always tell them, think about what is going to come with you and what is going to be with you for years to come is your child. Who do you care more? And so it's your child. And so this goes when it comes to what my mother thinks, what the teacher thinks, what people think. It's like people have this perception about parenthood and children, and we're shifting that. We're shifting that now, but people are not there. They still say things like, what I need is a good spanking. And you're like, no. And so I will say, just focus on your child, just focus on getting the knowledge and do it what's right and it feels right for your family, because children and each family is so unique that yes, you get the knowledge, you get the techniques, you work on yourself, but at the end it is a very personalized strategy for your children to thrive. And I think it goes because we feel as parents that we are kind of like the creator. And I think that that is the biggest issue. And I want to free everyone here to tell you, you are not given a blank canvas and you're doing a beautiful painting. That's not the case. Your kids are born with over 400 psychological traits. They are pre-programmed at a 50% rate, 25% the mom side, 25% the dad side. And with that pre-programming, they come and they experience the world, and then we have the free will to make our decisions. So it's not a blank canvas. We're not the creator. God is the creator. So what I tell them is, about instead of you engineer, realize that you're more like a gardener. you've been given information to your seed or an oak or a mango tree. It's to be curious about what seed is a given, what is the best environment for this seed, and then give it everything that the seed needs so it can become everything it was born to become. So if you put a seed of an oak tree, an oak tree can be 70 feet long. It's a majestic that you could also have in a pot if the pot is big enough, and have it be 1 3 feet tall in your patio. And that's sometimes what we do with parenting. Out of love, we place our seed, out of thinking that we are the engineer, we place our seed in a pot versus realizing this seed is supposed to be gigantic, it's supposed to be itself. So I think if we approach parenting in this way, then we're not gonna care what people think. We're gonna focus on what on getting to know our child, and on giving them the best option for actually him or her to thrive in this world.
I love that analogy. And a follow up on that one is how we may have the discussion with our family members, like with grandma, grandpa, uncles, aunts that maybe are still a little bit more into like that old mentality of this is how it has to be, and how we can hold healthy boundaries to explain them what we are choosing to do with our children, and then explain things like that analogy of the seed of um, a tree versus planted and restricted. Because I love your analogy, because the tree will grow as much as the roots can grow. That is why bonsais are made. So if we put in a pot, the roots are going to get in the pot, and then the tree will not be able to grow anymore.
Right. Well, I think that when it comes to grandparents, I think that the key is love and not judgment. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of people that are making this shift, they want to come and they want to lecture, mom and dad, and they want to tell them all the things that they did wrong and how they're going to do it better. And from that place of judgment is that we get resistance. Because obviously, if I come here and I tell you, hey, Joe, this and that, your reaction will be to protect yourself, to say like, wait, and to try to justify, right? But when we come out of love and we just say it has nothing to do with you, my story, or whatever, even though if the decision came because we didn't get it what we needed, if we come with love and we say, for our children, it's very important um, to have healthy boundaries, to use these words, not to manipulate or do prices or and punishments. We explain it once with love, and then we become like a Google translator for our kids, because we are not here to educate anyone. We need to protect our children. We need to make sure if they're not respecting boundaries, then how that interaction is going to play, because grandparents are key for children, because they are storytellers and children love stories, and they own the wisdom of our family. So it's very good for them to have that relationship when it's a healthy one. And so let's say that, for example, let's take Christmas, right? So, for example, sometimes grandparents are like, hey, you're not sharing. It's close to Christmas Day. Santa is watching you. You need to share, right? So instead of there, you lecturing grandma or grandpa and saying, like, this is not the way that we do it at home for this and that, research, like, we don't do that. We go to our children and we say, like, hey, honey, you know what? This is what I do. um, you're gonna get your toy no matter what, because it's about the birthday of Jesus. That's what you're getting, a toy on Christmas. It's not about you or your behavior, it's about what he did, right? Or let's say that if you don't have a religious belief, then you say it's because it's a special day. So it's not tied to your behavior, because that's manipulation. You're going to get it no matter what, if you're going to get anything, because there are families where they don't exchange gifts, which is fine. But when we encounter these situations that are like what usually happen, then we go and we translate for them. Or if they say something like, you need to share, be a good boy, right? Then we can say, grandma was taught that sharing was good, but actually respecting, you know, other people's belongings or your own sense of what you own, it's what is important. But she wasn't taught that way. So you always translate for your child. And for example, for sharing, I teach my kids, you always ask, can I use it, right? But if the person say no, even if it is the brother, they have the right to say no. Then the next question is, when when can I use it? And usually the child that is not sharing, or that was playing with his toy and he wants to keep on playing and has every right to do it, will say, in 5 minutes, when I'm done with this round. And so, it's about that. It's more, again, the focus is on my children. I'm not here to educate anybody.
I love that because also create a little bit more of relief, and that is that we concentrate on trans. I love how you're saying like being a Google translator for our children and keep reinforcing. I love that you put the example of Christmas, because by the time that this episode is live, like it's getting close to Christmas. We are a couple of months ago, and I've been thinking about that a lot because I've been seeing some of those Christmas songs, and some of these Christmas songs are actually very
Really?
cryptic. Or like you better don't cry
Yeah.
and you better behave. And so I've been thinking about that and how I can still have some of those traditions and some of those nice memories without that subconscious harm into the child's memory, into the child's belief of, I love what you're saying, of manipulation, of this is happening because it's connected to how I behave, when the reality is it doesn't. I love how you say like it doesn't. It is not related, because the reality is there is not. And that is why you say it is part of manipulation, because I don't remember one time ever that because the child was not behaving as the parent was agreeing, that make it not having Christmas presents.
But
It's
how
just
many children have suffered for the whole month of December, pretending to be perfect grades, because we use this as a manipulation, without, obviously, out of love, without thinking. The harm that we're doing is that we're teaching the child, if you behave in the way that somebody else wants, then you will get what you want.
I love it. I love it. Um Now, where is the line between us being our children's guides and also help them to develop their fullest life and values and gifts? Where is that fine line between being the cheerleader and the guide, and where that pass into me stepping into the parent and the boundaries, and this is what we are doing, this is what we are not doing?
The line, I think, in order to recognize that line, you have to work on yourself, because the line comes with love. And so I'm going to give you a quick example. When last year my youngest kid was in BPK and they were going to do an outing, a field trip, for like a pumpkin patch. And that was one mom that obviously was resistant, because they're 4 year olds. It's probably the first field trip for the mothers whose children started that year. It was a big thing, right? A big thing, because now we feel with that this fear of they're gonna get kidnapped, somebody's gonna touch them. Like, we have so many bad news, and we want to wrap them in a bubble, right? And so there was all of this fear. And so, I sent to the mom saying, this is something many years. They're going to go with their teachers. Somebody was saying like, oh, because parents were not allowed to go. And so they were saying, I will feel more comfortable. Imagine this. I will feel more comfortable if mothers went, because at least I will know, what my child is doing. And I said to them, think about what you're saying. I feel more comfortable with my teacher, with my son's teachers going, because she knows how to handle 15 kids at once. I know how to handle my two, and I'm gonna be watching, mine, but I don't know how to handle 15. And she has the authority in front of them to follow in an atmosphere where they're all together, right? And so some of the moms were like, okay, I eat. But there was this mom that really was almost crying. She called me almost crying. She said, my husband wants my child to go, but I don't feel comfortable and I don't want him to go. And she was like very, very upset. And so I say, okay, it's perfectly fine, because he's gonna have more field trips. But let's see what is going on here. And I say, take a deep breath and connect with you and tell me that decision is coming of protecting your child, that need to protect your child, is coming out of fear or out of love. And so she said, out of fear. Why is it coming out of fear? And so something had happened when she was little, right? And so it's like, connect there. I think the question is always, this protection, this boundary, am I putting it in place because of something that happened to me and I don't want him to experience that, or because I truly know that he could get hurt out of love. And so I feel like right now, even to climb trees, moms are like, no, 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 don't climb the tree because you might break an arm. Like, no, trees are made to be climbed. They love children climbing the trees. And so let them explore. Why? Because resilience and intelligent emotion, um, they come from experience. If they don't go through experiences, then it's like they're gonna be these 30-year-olds that are living in their mother's couch, totally dependent on people making choices for them. You know?
I love that, and I love that question. I think that it's going to. I'm gonna repeat it for all the moms to write it down. I think it's a valuable, valuable nugget, and that is your action or decision being taken based on love or fear? Because I love that, and I see myself doing that all the time. And is that all those things that cause us trauma, all those things that cause us pain, are things that by survival we want to avoid our children to expose. So we may be taking decisions and actions based on fear. But I love how you said, is that fear a real fear, or is a fear based on trauma that circles back to your first point, and is how much we need to work in healing ourselves and getting better. Talking about that, what are some of the things that moms and dads can do to heal themselves, to start? For example, that's a great example. Okay, I find out that I am scared of this situation, not because it's coming from love for my child, but it's coming from fear of what happened to me. That being a trigger of that means that there is something that I still need to heal. What are some of those paths or steps that parents can start taking into their own healing journey?
Well, my recommendation is always to have a therapeutic process. So they can really go into all of aspects of how they got the set of limiting beliefs, because we are programmed. And so, what are the programs that you don't no longer want in your life, right? So you can regain your spark. If this is not possible because money, although I will recommend people that are from foreign countries and speak two languages, look for a good psychologist back in your country. For example, like for people in Colombia, a good psychologist could be $30 a session. And so that's very affordable. That's almost a session a week for a month for the cost of what it costs here one. And so let's look for options. But if that's not within your budget, or if you're not ready, or if you have the limiting belief, everything is fine with me. Let me tell you, if you have never worked on yourself, even though if you have amazing parents, you have some scratch, you have something. Because also life is about perception. It's not even about what what my parents gave me, but how I received what my parents gave me. And so if not, then books is another way of therapy that is very powerful. Or and one of my favorites is meditation. Of course, if you are in a position where you are hearing for the first time and being curious for the first time, you will think, no, but meditation is so hard. It's about keeping my mind blank. It's not about keeping your mind blank. Let me tell you that right now. I don't know why 20 years ago they used to say that, but that is as crazy as saying that you're going to stop your heart from beating for a moment. Your mind is never going to be blank. And so, guided meditations are an amazing way to start because somebody's telling you exactly what to think, where to go. And there are a bunch of meditations out there that are for free from really well renowned professionals. So I will start there because those processes, those little moments, those breaks, the moment of going to your inner world are so healing and so refreshing. And then you will even remember things that you have kept deep down there, and you can see things like, why am I this way with money, or why am I have this sense of everything needs to be super organized, and why am I pushing my child to the best grades even though I know that the greatest or most successful or professionals are not the Mount Laculadins or the world. So all of those things come when you go inside. The answer to the questions are always inside of us.
I love, 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 love that one. Why you don't talk a little bit more about El Gran Regalo and what what the Gran Regalo is and how it's helping uh, parents around the world?
So El Gran Regalo, it's my company. What I do, it's depending on when a family comes, I will assess them and say whether I'm going to start this process with the mom or this process with the dad. And then we do have a couple um, where I teach the method of effective parenting. And in that method, obviously, we look back, and it's a healing process. It's a healing process from recognizing what you were given was the best that your parents could give you. It was what they had. It might not have been enough, but it's what they have. And when you understand that, um, then you can heal, then you can move on. And as you start seeing things and you start observing, oh, let's say that my relationship with money, my relationship with women, my in my mind, what I think a woman should act like versus a man, all of these things we create, all of these definitions, uh, we create from 0 to 5. From 0 to 5 year old, we are in this world observing everything and giving definitions, right? So, oh, this is how a woman behave, this is how a man behave, this is what it means to be a brother, this is what to me mean to be a grandma, student, everything. And we create a foundation of our identity. And my favorite phrase, which I didn't answer that question, it's because it's true. We act not in the way that we want to act, but what we believe we are. So, for example, if you think that it's so hard to go to the gym, that that's not for you, well, you're going to start going to the gym 1 2 weeks and then you're going to quit. But for an athlete that in her mind, she knows, she feels, and she feels like an elite athlete, it's not an option. It's something that she does because an athlete, they work out, right? And so in everything else in life, we go and we act upon what we believe we are. It's not even about who we can be or what talents do we have, but who we think we are. And this is huge. This is huge because also to touch on that point, we are telling our kids who they are. So the first 5 years, we tell them who they are. How are you speaking to your child? What are you telling them? If you're telling them, is you don't listen, you never listen. congratulations, you're going to have an adolescent that is very rebellious and is going to become, you told him he was that, right? And so at the big gift, this is the truth. It's like, my best definition will be, you walk up here in my in my office with glasses that are all dirty, that have a lot of mud and like this, and this is how you're seeing the world. And through the process, you start cleaning your glasses, and finally you can see. You can see what is real. You can see, and so when we have that power, then we can make those decisions out of love, and it's something beautiful because it heals everybody. Then the parents heal and the children heal. The parents modify their behavior and the children will respond different. And then it's beautiful when they start seeing that conflict arises at home, and then the children will go and say things like, I'm sorry that I yelled at you, I shouldn't have yelled, but I was feeling so mad. And then you're like, this works, and it's those moments. So that's what my passion is, to basically all of the myths that there are around parenthood is actually tell them why they're not real, and show them data, because this is not something that just people have been writing about. There are studies done. How can we make a change, give them tools to deal with that? Because often when we have a situation, right? All of us, we do this, adults, we do this. We have a situation we don't know how to handle, and we go to our toolbox. But when our toolbox that was given to us was yelling, spanking, blaming, manipulation, like I don't have the right tools. And so I equip them with techniques, I equip them with love, I equip them with patience. And so that's essentially what we do in El Gran Regalo.
Thank you so much. Okay, as we are getting close to the end of the show, why you don't share one thing that you would like all the moms and the dads in the world to know about their journey as parents, and then also if they want to hear a little bit more about you, how they can reach out to you.
Okay, so the one thing that I will tell you is, there are 8 billion people in this world, and you were chosen to be your child mother, or father. There is this infinite parental wisdom inside of you. Connect with that. Connect with that. You are the best mom, the best dad for your child. You are the one that is connected the most. And keep in mind that they have the genuine desire to connect with you. Nobody else in this world wants to be your friend more than your children when they're little. You are like superheroes to them. And so keep that in mind. They really want to please you, connect with you, make you happy. And so enjoy that. And the other thing is, like, I know I just opened my Instagram like 3 days ago, because social media is great, but I love the one-on-one. So if you want to reach me, you can, always call me. At my phone number is 305-799-4645. Again, that's 305-799-4645. And my handle at Instagram is El Gran Regalo Family. I'm going to start posting, because people have been asking me, this information that you have, you cannot keep it for the few families that, that I have the capacity of seeing, because it's only one day at a time. But so I'm finally ready kind of to share with the world. So let
Thank you so much, Viviana. It's been great, a fantastic world, and then everybody is going to be able to reach out to you. And looking forward to see your Instagram growing. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www.spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it.